Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Cringe.
What's the word? What's going on?
Yeah, man. So I was checking a few episodes, anime episodes of Dandadan.
Oh, okay.
I liked it. So after a few episodes, like I immediately close. Then I went straight into online manga site. It was a Korean site actually, and I went and read the manga version. I always prefer the manga versions better because I believe actually manga versions are what the creators really want to show the readers, and also I can really take my time to appreciate the artwork, check out the details and read the lines. By the way, talking about reading the lines, when I was living in Japan, reading manga at Book Off, we talked about it, right? Book Off and manga kisas. Yo, that really helped me a lot in practicing my reading Japanese and kanji.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, same.
So I would stay at Book Off and just slowly read and like study kanji. If I don't know anything, I have my baka phone, Jisho.
Right.
So so like to finish one manga was like 2 hours or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. That and texting, it really helps you improve your Japanese, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But anyways, Dandadan, the manga version is pretty good. And, I rarely say these things, like, because I read manga, but, I don't go out and be like, yo, man, I don't know if it's an age thing, but most recent mangas, like real talk, I couldn't pass their first volumes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't, drop names or titles.
I was gonna ask. All right, which ones didn't make the DJ Fight Duck cut, dude?
But yeah, most of the recent mangas, let's say like past years, maybe I liked only a few. Like One Punch Man, I liked it, but
right.
Some of them, I was like, read maybe half. Then I'm like, okay, just nah.
What is it? Is it the characters or the sette, like just the general theme of the story, or like what is it that doesn't click?
I think it's the anime versions too and manga, but just felt all flashy and pretty.
This is the anime you're talking about?
Both. Manga versions and anime versions. Okay. All flashy and pretty with no substance.
Right.
So it's pretty
happens.
to read and look, but like the story itself, I'm like, what is this? It just feels like super generic shonen manga.
It's very cliche.
Yeah. Just different characters drawn differently.
So, right, but like the general regular type of shonen fare that you would expect.
Yeah. But Dandadan, I ain't gonna lie, man. I started reading it and I couldn't stop.
Nice.
I think I'm almost caught up with the most recent episode, which again is pretty rare of me saying these things.
Well, how many chapters?
I don't know.
I haven't read. I've watched some of the anime episodes because I've been looking at animation more recently than manga. Like manga, I've kind of always been looking at, but right now I'm looking at, frames in motion and how to direct the eye on like a, because in manga you have different size frames, and you guide the eye with different, devices. But then for an actual screen, those things change a little bit. So I'm like really looking at those right now. The last year I've just been paying a lot of attention to film and animations and just kind of seeing like, okay, where you put the camera for this type of stuff.
Right.
A lot of people, I think if you asked storyboard artists, maybe most of them would tell you, comics and storyboarding is the same thing. It's just sequential art with frames, except for certain things, right? And obviously, if you're doing something for animation or film, you have sound, you have camera moves as well, which in manga, you can draw them out. But, there's different ways of doing your paneling in manga. But I guess for someone like me that's always done comics until more recently, last couple of years, I worked in animation. I always just looked at storytelling through like a comic book perspective. And so the timing and everything is done by picking certain moments in a sequence of events. And that's what you show, right? To me, storytelling was just that. It was just, okay, well, this is what you got to show because this, and I didn't really think about it too much, but I was used to looking at manga.
Right.
And then, you know, anime, you can show the full motion. You don't have to pick one thing. And so, I don't know, for some reason, for me personally, that was very different. And it took some real studying, like, okay, you got all these moments now. You know, it's just, I guess the possibilities became bigger for some reason in my mind. But I don't know.
Maybe because I grew up watching manga, watching anime and reading manga, both. So probably I was like kind of like the same to me. But reading manga, I always have this thing like, let's say, for example, Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan, right? That one, I always thought, like, how they gonna animate this? The scene where they fly around and all that stuff. So manga, I was just like, I don't know how they're gonna do it. So that's why I checked the animation version.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm just like, manga is better.
Wait, you were reading the manga already thinking about the anime, or you started reading it by the time they were already announcing the anime?
I think pretty much almost same time.
Okay.
So when I read manga, I kind of have like this expectation, like super high expectation of the anime version. And most anime, I'm like, I don't know.
What's that? Why do you expect so much from the anime?
I don't know, because it's anime. It moves. You can do so much, like way. I mean, visually.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's visually more because manga and anime. I don't know. I'm not an art person, but to me, it's like watching a movie. So you expect more, and sound is there.
Right. You got color.
Voice colors there. Voice acting is there. The whole BGM and like. To me, it's the Genki Dama of, I don't know, everything. The entertainment industry into that one anime. So there are very few animes I liked better than the manga version. For example, I like Akira anime version better.
Better than the manga?
And people will be like, nah, man, like anime is better. Manga version is better.
Oh, yeah, there's some people that are gonna have an issue with that.
Again, man, I'm not a super manga otaku or anime otaku, but I'm from the generation that grew up with manga. For the younger generation out there, this was a time there was no internet, let alone YouTube or social media. Besides playing outside doing kid bullshit, we spend time, especially Korea and Japan, we spend time reading manga. Right. So it was a thing actually back then. Imagine all the time you guys spend on social media and YouTube or playing video games. My generation, that was manga.
Tell him, Duck. Yeah. Tell him, Duck.
I already hear them coming. Get that mother.
This some old Sambanashi now. Back in our days, young kids.
Man. We read manga at home, on the bus, train, to school, and of course during class, man. We always had the kyokasho and behind the manga because we had one manga book too, and everybody had to read it that day, right?
Man, you know what? Like my upbringing would have been really different if I would have been in a country where people read comics and stuff because. You know, Asia, and I mean, especially Japan and Korea, manga is huge.
Yeah.
I didn't learn that until like my early 20s. That the scope of it. I knew manga existed. I saw manga when I was in high school. I saw Dragon Ball and Slam Dunk. A Korean buddy in Argentina was like, I was drawing my comics, and he was like, nah, your comics are bullshit. And then he brought, the next day, he's like, I'm going to show you some real comics. And he brought me Dragon Ball, Slam Dunk, and I feel like there was a third one, and he let me borrow them. And I'd never seen Dragon Ball or Slam Dunk. I'd never seen like art styles like that. I must have been like 15. And Dragon Ball, I was like Slam Dunk. I'd never seen like characters drawn really cool like that. And what I mean by cool is like fashionable with like different hairstyles and like, you know, and like they're posed out like, you know, like It's not all just fighting and like flying and stuff. Like they're just panels where they're just like looking cool with their school uniform and their like bag with their gym stuff in it. And I had never seen that in comics, because the comics I was used to were like people, you know, shooting rays out of their eyes, punching through walls, you know, like superhero stuff, right?
Flying up out to the space, coming back.
And then when I saw Dragon Ball, it looked really simple to me and like kiddie, like for kids. Because back then, already in high school, I was into like Simon Bisley and like heavy metal and like things like that, you know. And I was like, yo, this stuff is rad. So like anything that looked like kind of kiddie, I wasn't into. Dragon Ball to me, as someone who had just seen it for the first time, it looked like something for kids. Right. Which I mean, it was. It's a shonen. Yeah. But then it had so much impact. Like some of the drawings, you know, like things where worlds were getting blown up by like a little like tiny chibi guy. Yeah. Yeah. And like it looked simple, but at the same time, it was like the drawings had impact. Right. And everything was really angular, and like the dudes were all looking all angry and. But then after that, you know, I gave them back to my friend, and then I kind of forgot about that until like way later when I came back. When I came to LA, when I moved here and I saw that bookstore. But most of my friends didn't read comics. I didn't grow up with like a bunch of people reading comics around me. So that was kind of like my weird thing that I was into, and that's about it.
Yo, like us, I remember in Korea, man, like me and the kids, always, of course, like the illegal mangas, like the small books.
Little bootlegs.
You know, all the bootlegs, yeah. We read more. In class, pretty much. Yeah, you have your textbook here, and behind manga. If you get caught, you know what's gonna happen there. DJ Fandom to the front, then you get your ass kicked. But you know what's really funny thing? The funny thing about Korean manga scene back in the day was we used to have this thing called manhwabang. In Japanese, it's manga bear. So it's
really?
Yeah.
In school?
So, no. Outside. Oh. So, not in school, man. School, you busy getting your ass kicked.
I was going to say.
But, I mean, you pay, I don't know, 50 cents for a book, whatever, to read it. So it's basically a library full of mangas. And all the new series goes directly to those manga bears.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, it's like a manga kisa without the computers.
Right.
So, back then, and they have like these snacks. You can get like Korean ramen. All the little
spicy.
Yeah, spicy. Of course, man, spicy.
It's like, Chinese food. Korean.
So we were always like caught up with the most recent episode.
Right.
And plus, and if it's like super Japanese stuff, like unedited version, then we go to the friend's house, like the Hokuto no Ken episode.
I see. Right.
But most of them, most of the manga were either legal or licensed. They had them both in those manga bears.
I see.
So you can check out like libraries too. Check them out too.
Right.
Like,
so is Korea really strict about like adult content in comics?
At the time,
like if there's anything like sexual stuff,
or then like, they will draw over it. Like let's say like if there's a panchira scene, then Koreans like too much. Then
just draw some shorts,
or now she's wearing a black pantyhose type stuff.
So, right.
So again, that too. Like when I went to Japan and Fukuoka, I wanted to read the unedited version too.
Oh, I see. That must have been mind blowing for some of those books.
Yeah, I mean, but later on, I mean, my friend. Like the
he had them already.
He had them all, so
he had all the Japanese releases, right?
Yeah, but then he was living in Korea, so he couldn't go to Japan to buy manga all the time, right? It was like once a year trip, something like that, and he will come back with like I don't know, like 20 manga books or something like that.
Right.
And that's the time it was like everybody, let's go. It's gotta be some itchy stuff.
You guys were how old?
We were 20. Nah.
Yesterday it was
last week. No, we're like still middle school. Right. By the time high school, everybody just went to manga bear or to play pools. Even at pool, those pool halls, they had mangas. You know how ramen.
See, that's the difference right there, dude. That's Asia
in Japan. If you go to Ramen, they have like a
dude.
like some kind of mangas there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always like volume 1, 2, then 5.
Right. Well, also like they're all like, I mean, the ramen shops.
Yeah.
Because in LA, the first time I ever experienced like eating ramen, reading manga was like probably Daikokuya or one of those like in downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, those magazines are all like, you know, they spill stuff on them and they're all like wrinkled and
stuck together,
bent and yeah.
It's like a dried out Naruto stuck to the page. So yeah, basically, my generation, we grew up with manga and anime too, and I think, I don't know, maybe this is a Osang thing too. I think I know a good manga when I see one.
Well, that just comes from reading a lot of manga.
Yeah, it's not an otaku thing, and I think that's the thing about Japan and Korea too. Manga is just out there. You don't have to be an otaku to read manga.
No, it's just part of. It's one of the things that people
like,
are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like reading a novel.
Right.
And just
or
reading
the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's just like reading something. Yeah.
So people just read them without making a big deal out of it, right?
That's one thing I liked.
Go.
When I was working at the karaoke and I would talk to Japanese people, that's my first time really talking to a whole bunch of Japanese people, like frequently, because, you know, I had Shu-chan in Chicago and that was like my Japanese friend that I spoke to, but then that was it. And when I started working at the karaoke, all of a sudden, you know, half of the customers were Japanese. Everybody I worked with was Japanese. And immediately I realized that when I talked to people about wanting to draw manga, you know, they knew all about it. They you know, and they read. And also one thing I noticed was when I handed over like something to someone to read, they would read it no problem. Like there wouldn't be this weird thing where it's like, what is this? This is a comic book?
Right.
Oh, I don't know how to, I don't do this. I don't read these. You know, that's
or
not my
like
thing.
the opposite. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an otaku.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Which you would still be, at least for me, I would have been surprised here, you know, to have like a normal person just be into reading comics or whatever. But it didn't matter who I handed the comic to. If they were Japanese, they all read it. They all, you know, it was like you said, it's just like reading anything else or watching TV or whatever. Yeah. So,
but yeah, man,
right.
I mean, talking about like the anime manga otaku thing a little bit, it's being an otaku in Japan or in Korea. It's more like making a big fuss out of it about like a manga or anime, or
that makes you an otaku.
Well, I mean, more like making your whole personality about a manga.
Right.
Or like the way you dress, the way you talk, or like being obsessed with a manga character, especially like Miku-chan or whoever, Hina-chan, Rabu Hina, whatever. And you know, that's an otaku. But in Japan or Korea, reading a manga does not make anybody an otaku. Everybody,
no, it's just
everybody's like my friends. I've been to their houses. They always had some kind of manga, just like ramen shop,
right?
Some kind of series. I'm like, I read it and like I can tell like what kind of person they are. I'm like,
right? Yeah, totally. Yeah. Some people they'll just have like a bunch of like tsumanai, cooking manga or something like that, and you're like, okay, that's what they're gonna read.
The most I saw was Doraemon.
That's the most real popular one.
Yeah, Doraemon and Slam Dunk, or some kind of Dragon Ball, Ball or Dragon Ball Z. And I was about Hokuto no Ken. Hokuto no Ken, a lot of dudes had it. Hokuto no Ken and JoJo,
right? And
Bokude Nashi Burusu type stuff.
Yeah, speaking of JoJo, I'm gonna talk about the author of JoJo a little later.
Oh,
yeah.
You like JoJo?
Actually, I never read it.
I never read it. Kind of like, I
read like the first couple, maybe the first Tankobon or something, just to see what it was about. But I never read it. I've seen all the characters and stuff, and I mean, it's a very popular series. So, you know, it's hard to. It's easy to tell it's JoJo just by looking at it.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point is, Dandadan manga version is pretty good, and I think I'm talking about like the shonen manga. There are millions of other mangas.
Right.
I'm just talking about the shonen manga. I think it's one of the best out of the recent shonen mangas. People like.
All right, you got a very good review from DJ 5 Duck. DJ 5 Duck approved.
Mangas such as now,
So you rated high among those.
You should check it out too, actually.
Yeah, I've seen the art, and a friend of mine, actually Juan, gave me the first 2 volumes, and then I packed them before moving, so I wasn't able to read them. But I looked through the art; it looks cool. It's very dynamic.
Right.
The action looks really cool. The characters are, you know, appealing. So yeah, it looks good. It's a nice art style. So I can see why people like it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Like, why is this so good? Why do people like it this much? And I got a little curious about the creator, Tatsu Yakinobu Sensei, and he said I searched few YouTube interviews too, not a direct interview, but it was, you know, all these like anime and manga channels talking about it, especially Korean ones, because they get on it immediately. And
right.
He said the creator, he was super influenced and inspired by classics like Ultraman, and Berserk. You know Rampo? Yes,
I do.
Yeah, Rampo.
Yeah.
And Akira.
I can tell from the action.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, like the Rampo, the artist. I think I might be mistaken, but I think he's the same. He's the artist of Soul Division Mitsuyoshi. It's like these very plump women fighting and stuff, but I think it's the same artist from Lampo. We'll pop some images up. Like it's good artwork. His action and his page layouts remind me of the Yukinobu Sensei's work.
Yeah, man. Like throughout the manga, even anime too, mad influences and homages. Of those, and even more, like throughout the manga and anime, you see it everywhere.
Right.
It's really interesting and if you get all these references, right, it's even funner to read.
Right.
And on top of that, what I saw was, again, this big Genki Dama of classics like Tachi and H2, plus, of course, One Piece and Dragon Ball,
right,
and Gegege no Kitaro, Gantz. You get the concept, right? Gantz and Ushijima-kun. For the reason why I said Tachi, also Ranma.
Wait, you're saying these are comics you like, or these are comics that are
what I saw inside of Dandadan. So like, for example, Tachi and H2 and Ranma. It's kind of like school kids, you know, coming of age, puppy love comedy of the 80s, 90s, 2000 mangas. It's all in there. And also, this one other thing, one nerdy dude and all these pretty girls liking him, like the harem theme of Oh My Goddess. Was it? I forgot the Japanese title. But Oh My Goddess.
But yeah.
And the tension between Okarun and Momo-chan. Something like Saeba Ryo and Kaori of City Hunter. They always fight, but they, you know, deep inside, they love each other type stuff. Then the next one, I mentioned One Piece and Dragon Ball. And Rampo, too. The over-the-top action sequences
Right.
It's like you do one punch and the whole city just people die.
Right.
And I mean, the shonen manga theme, you starting alone, then meeting and fighting all these new characters, and then becoming friends. Flow. It's like the classic shonen manga. It's all in there too.
Right.
And what else I see? And after, I think this is kind of interesting too. After every big fight or something happens and everything gets solved, then there's a big feast. Everybody's just like, oh, taberuze! And everybody, and become friends, right? I think that's every culture too, but especially in Asian culture. My mom used to say this: you cannot eat with your enemies, right?
Right.
So I think that's a big theme of Asian mangas too. Like after a fight, you become friends. Then
get all the homies and
let's go eat yakiniku or whatever. Like One Piece is always good with that stuff, right? See, that's the thing too. Like, I don't think Japan or even China uses that kanji anymore. But the kanji for family is kazoku, right?
Yeah.
In Korea, it's also shoku taberu and kuchi.
That's family?
Yeah.
Kazoku?
Yeah, kazoku.
Really?
Shoku. In Korean, shikku. Family and also your friend group too.
Right.
So you eat together. That's why it's family, shikku.
Wow, that's interesting, dude. Yeah.
I think maybe if you ask like all Japanese people, they will understand.
Right.
Taberu kuchi, shikku. In Japanese, shoku kuchi. So something like that. So like I think the concept of that is like throughout every Japanese, even Korean mangas too. So, then the next inspiration, Kitaro and Gantz. The concept of fighting aliens, all the traditional urban legend ghosts and stuff in different dimensions. That's Ultraman, Gantz, and Kitaro, right?
Yeah.
You see all the Kuchisaki Onna, and that's like what Gantz was like great about. All the aliens, whatever. It was like all those like traditional Japanese Oni or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gantz also took a lot of things from like American pop culture at the time. Yeah. And also, Gantz is one of the mangas that was one of my favorite mangas, first of all, but I haven't finished it actually. Like I was reading it when I was living in Japan, they were up to like volume, I don't know, like in the 20 somethings or 30. I remember I brought the series back because I got all of the ones that were available. And I practiced my Japanese by reading those. So I would sit there. And what I liked about it too was, a lot of manga, depending on what type of series it is, the way that people talk is kind of like maybe the standard American comic book where it's just dialogue. It's not a lot of like idiosyncrasy or like personality, like specificity, how the character talks. They kind of like convey the information of what's going on and move the story along. But then the kind of comics that I like are the ones that they've got jargon and like slang and people sound like very specific to like their character, the way they talk. And Gantz did that and it would phonetically spell out the way like young people talk or old people and like kind of, made social commentary on those types of things too through the dialogue. Right. And which I thought that was great. I really liked that and I learned a lot too.
Yeah. One thing I liked about Gantz was, again, Shibuya, Shinjuku, all the like real places, right?
Even Osaka, they
go to
Osaka.
with the giant robot coming in there. I was like, oh my god, the 3D anime version.
Yeah, Gantz O is. I would tell people to watch that.
That one really
it's awesome.
Good.
It looks great.
Yeah, Japan has this special skill of picking up the live action version of.
The live action Gantz not so great, dude. That one
was kind of like, I don't know, man.
Yo, that's why I was looking forward to it.
Right.
Because that's one of my favorite mangas, and I was living in Japan when that came out. I went to the theater, and man, like I was considering getting up and leaving. I was so upset, dude. Like, I watched the whole thing, but
man, that to me, because of that, man, even the what do you even call that? Live, like 3D anime version, Gantz Zero.
Like the CG, like
Yeah,
3D
the CG
animated.
one,
Yeah.
Like, to me, when that dropped, I was like, 마지でまたやったの?
Oh, you were like, forget it. I'm not even going to waste my time.
Yeah. But then I watched it. I was like, oh, it's not a live action. So I was like, oh, I gave it a try. Great.
Yeah, it was really good. I watched that with Daiga when I went to Japan in 2017.
You guys went
we
to
were in his apartment. I'm like, yo, we got to watch it. He was like, wakata. He liked it though. But yeah, that one's good.
Yo,
Yeah, everybody, Gantz O, go check Gantz O out. If you like Gantz, I think you'll enjoy it. It looks great. The CG is great. The effects are good. The animation's good. And Gantz has great designs.
Yeah, plus.
And this chapter where they go to Osaka, you have like a lot of crazy stuff going on. So I would encourage you to watch it if you like Gantz.
It's like a manga to anime done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, this also has to do with one of the subjects we're going to cover today. But the Gantz manga used CG models.
Oh yeah.
For the backgrounds, for the characters, it was definitely a hybrid production. With heavily using CG models for stuff, right?
There's no way a dude, in the studio is just like assistant, like I need to draw this. I don't know, this Osang 137, number 137 Osang, just like in the back, running away. Nah, man. The buildings, I don't know, man.
Some productions, there's productions what I mean by production is a manga artist is very successful, especially like back in the 90s. I don't know now, but there were manga artists that had like 10, 11, 12 assistants. And you look at the work back then, there was no CG, nothing, and like it's super ultra detail.
Yeah,
battle scenes with like hundreds of characters fighting, and like somebody went in, like assistants went in and drew all of that, and it's wild. Yeah, a lot of work.
Back to the Genkidama of influence. Gintama. Talking about Tama. Gintama.
Yeah. I've never read that.
Gintama is pretty funny, actually. So all the parodies, all the jokes of Gintama is in Dandadan too. Even I think one design of the blindfold you get on the plane when you put it on your sleeve. There's a character in Gintama who wears that stuff, and Momo-chan's grandma, she wears the exact same thing.
Oh, it's like the same design?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. And throughout the manga, is so many, man. And the ghost and the aliens, a lot of design is directly influenced by Ultraman. Like the glowing eyes. And for example, there's this character named Serupo.
Okay.
He does... His attack is Ultraman's the beam attack.
Right.
Kind of changed. Because Ultraman is this, he does this.
Yeah. Right.
Momo-chan's attack, one of her attack is Rabu Rabu Kikoho. It's like, Moe Moe Kyun thing.
Yeah,
she does that. And it looks like, remember Tenshinhan from Dragon Ball? The guy with the third eye?
Yeah.
Tenshinhan. Kikoho. Kikoho! That one. So Momo-chan does a Rabu Rabu Kikoho. What is this? The heart.
Well, I feel like he's probably at Shueisha, because Dandadan's published by Shueisha, right? So is it Jump? Is it Shonen Jump?
Jump. Shonen Jump.
Okay. Like, I feel like there's a tradition of giving props to prior titles that are like huge.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. There are nods to Majinga and Slam Dunk, even Gintama, the blindfold thing.
Right.
And that's just to name a few, man. So many of them. And also, there are many references from old school Japanese and non-Japanese pop songs, Japanese games, dramas, and movies. So, just like, by reading those and like finding those references out, it's another like tanoshimi of reading them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It also, I'm pretty sure it keeps the creator entertained too. Like that's the thing about doing like a weekly or a monthly.
Yeah.
You gotta always keep the pace up, and you always have to have like new interesting things to put in there. And so when you make a series that allows you to like comment on different things that are of interest to you, like, you know, whether it's like social stuff or like fashion things or like sports or like whatever it is, even though that might not be the theme of your story, if you open it up through characters, like, oh, this character, he's like a gampura otaku. So now you can like put that in there. Oh, this character loves old romantic movies or whatever. Or Takakura-ken, like Momo-chan does, you know?
Let's talk about Takakura-ken a little later, man. I have a special thing about him. Not like Momo-chan, but, you know, to me, he's like OG.
Right.
But what makes this series really interesting is the backstory of the characters. So, I mean, you know, a lot of mangas, they do that, but, you know, almost every character has a backstory in Dandadan.
Right.
Including the villains. So, that's why I mentioned Ushijima-kun. Because a lot of these stories feel something you would see in Ushijima-kun. The backstories.
Is it? So just a lot of troubled family life, crime, like that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not that extreme, but still. The real life problems in Japan, like ijime, you know, boryoku, you know, poverty, child abuse, abandonment, human trafficking, prostitution, and so on. So, you know, every like villain or non-villain, like whatever character, they have these little backstories. So just by reading it, you kind of get attached to this, like, you know, like kawaiso, like empathy, sympathy, and some depressing ass underground Japan stuff. But I think it's so like the gap, as Japanese people say, it's funny, ha ha ha, this and that. Next thing you know, it's some serious sad stuff. Right. So like the creator, he plays with your emotions. Right. So I'm like, oh my.
Well, I would argue that you have to do that. That's why you find it interesting, and that's why the other ones you don't. Is because
I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. The more you can, the storytelling is about keeping the listener or the viewer guessing, and subverting expectations and like surprising at every turn, and then giving the audience a little bit of what they're expecting every once in a while, but also always like keeping them on their toes. Like, this is what you thought and you were right, but it's always that's storytelling. Like, and so like not everybody, you know, does things that way. But I think if you look at the big hits, they have that for one, which keeps them entertaining. And then they have the other thing that you mentioned, which is staples of a genre or whatever. So you're talking about the love comedy from the 80s. You were talking about the backstories of the characters that makes you feel something for them and have an insight into their psychology, even if they're a villain. You understand, you know. Those things are like necessary, and like you're gonna find them in most works, especially the ones that are not like indie. I mean, in Japan, I guess artists are independent in the way that they make their own work. They go to a publisher and they have a pitch, and then they work with an editor to do stuff. But those things are part of the editorial guidelines too. And like a good editor will always push you towards like keeping in mind those things. You know, they won't tell you. There's a lot of different styles in editing, but some editors will be like, we need to do this. And if you're a new artist, you know, new artists usually go with that because this editor has more experience than them with publishing.
I mean, that's the thing about like this editor dude, man. What I heard was his editor just let him do whatever he wanted to do, because he was just like, the story was at a Bonenkai of a studio. Every year they had a Bonenkai, so I'm pretty sure he was in that studio. He was an assistant for the Chainsaw Man dude. I think for at least like 2 years, a year or two, because he said like every year we had a Bonenkai.
Right.
And the last Bonenka, he was like, I can't draw anymore. He was keep pitching in stuff to his editor, but he was keep getting rejected.
Right.
We know how that feels like. You know what that feels like, right? But
well, I've been to those Bonenkais too.
Yeah.
Fortunately, and I've seen assistants go to them too, and same story.
Yeah. And he was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't draw anymore. But the editor at the time, which was this famous dude named Rin Shihei or something like that. He said he's like one of the really famous editors in the manga industry lately. And he was like, just, chill and just draw. You can draw 1 page or 2 pages. Just draw whatever you want to draw. And he was like, okay, maybe I'll try one more time. And he had a note. Like, I mean, mangakas, they have like story notes or whatever, right? And he found a note that he made a long time ago talking about, it was about, what was that ghost?
Sadako.
Sadako versus Kayoko. Was that her name? Kayoko?
I'm not sure about the other one, but
Sadako versus Kayoko. I was like, oh, okay, fight ghosts with ghosts type stuff. So he was like, okay, maybe I should do this. And then he just started to draw Dandadan. And he didn't even have a story plot or whatever. He just like draw whatever he wanted to draw. And that was Dandadan.
Well, like, because I heard this story too. Like, I was looking up things about him, and that's pretty common for an editor to tell you that, because that's what they want from you. They don't want you doing the story you think people want to read, or the story you think is going to be successful, or the story you think is going to be an anime and a video game and toys and a movie. No, they want you to do the thing that you want to do.
Right.
And that's hard sometimes, because not everybody knows what they want to do. I mean, that's a but any good editor will like push an artist to like not self-edit themselves or do something that they think is going to be what people want, but actually be very selfish about their creation of what they're doing.
Right.
And just do, even if it doesn't matter how simple or how stupid it might be, if that's what you want to do, it's not stupid. And like, my editor told me the same thing. And I think probably most artists who've had a good editor have been told the same. It's just like, I mean, I think even like when we're thinking about doing this channel and stuff, you mentioned asobi gokoro, which is like, it's important to have that kind of mindset in order to create stuff that's like, number one, that's you're going to be able to do consistently, because if you could create something great, but if it's super hard to create, which it happens many times, but like being consistent also becomes harder because of that, right? So if you're doing something where it's like, okay, I have fun doing this, I like this, and I'll always be inspired by this type of thing, then that's your best bet if you're going to do serialization for manga.
Right.
It's not always the easiest thing to find, right? That's the tough part. Sometimes, some people, it seems like they just know exactly what they want to do. Like I've been lucky that I've met many successful manga artists while I lived in Japan. And I think part of the reason why is just because I was like a weird anomaly. I was an American guy doing that stuff over there. So they were curious.
Right.
And some of them, we would talk, once the drinks start flowing, then like the horny comes out. Yeah. And like, we would talk about like just the struggles of the manga artists. And like, they would always say like, we don't know where we'll be in the next 5 years, and like, they would always say that.
Right.
And which is, I mean, fair enough, because the industry's pretty cutthroat in Japan. But, some artists would talk about how hard it was to, by the way, these people were really successful. Like they're mangas that have been turned into animes and stuff. And they're saying, some of them would talk about how coming up with their concepts was such, it's like giving birth. Like it was just, they would lose sleep over it, and it was up until the last minute where they would figure it out, like with deadlines and stuff. And then talking to other artists, they weren't like, they weren't gloating or bragging about it, but some artists just seemed like they're just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I like this. And well, some people have what they like is reaches a huge audience. Like they have that in common with every one of those readers. And then other artists like things that fewer people like, but that's what they really like.
Right.
And so in a comic industry like Japan, where a lot of people read, you're able to have a smaller audience and still be very successful because there's enough people to read to support what it is that you do that's your thing. And so as an industry, if you look at manga titles, they all look different. They have their own aji, they have their own idiosyncrasy. There's no such thing really as like a house style for manga. Where here in the US there are house styles depending on the publisher. It's more this type of style or more this. You got indie, you got superhero, you got and there's a lot of variety within those genres too, but I feel like, at least for me personally, when I looked at Japanese manga for the first time, and I was at that Kinokuniya bookstore, I was looking through everything, and all the volumes just looked like something completely different. They had their own way of telling a story, the gags. It was like very personal to the creator.
Back to the Dandadan thing. Again, man, it was just... I think that's you know how Japanese people say "ii tokodori"? It's like it's a combination of all the selling points from all the shonen mangas until now. So "ii tokodori", you just pick the nice parts, and then make something out of those, and just trash the rest stuff. So the art style. He said he draws on paper. He's like you. He draws on paper, then scans it, then fixes it, does things digitally. But first he draws on paper. And I was like, yo, damn. And I saw the clip of him drawing and doing stuff on what was it, Cintiq? What do you call it? Like the computer you have, the thing you have.
Yeah, Cintiq. It's a Cintiq. It's just a tablet. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know that. I saw it at Felipe's place. Thing is, like, that dude, his rensai is Shukan. Weekly.
Yeah.
That really blew me off.
Yeah, that's 18 pages a week.
I'm like, yo, man, I've seen you work many, many times. And I know how long these things take, right?
Right.
And it's looking at his manga and later on knowing, yo, this is weekly. How does he do it? I was like,
well, I'm pretty sure he has assistants. That also helps.
Yeah.
Like those backgrounds and stuff. I don't think he's drawing those backgrounds, but he lays the stuff out in pencil. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying if he's doing weekly, he probably has assistants that help him with like the beta and the heike and that type of stuff. But I also wanted to mention real quick, like you said, oh, he does it on paper. I still think most mangaka in Japan still work on paper. A majority. Right now, because a lot of the younger artists are using digital work, you will find a lot of people who also do digital, but I would still say that the majority of people in Japan still, right now, do kamigenko. They might do the tones digitally, they might adjust things digitally, but still, on paper with a G pen. Or markers, depending on the artist, but But most people, the G pen is considered the traditional mangaka tool. If you don't use the G pen, you're a chump. Like straight up. And there's manga artists who they will straight up tell you that to your face. Manga kanada G pen. That's it. Like there's no Pigma, there's no Copic, all that. That's different. That's if you're doing manga. The G pen is super versatile.
Right.
And and it takes some getting used to. And I think the last chapter, the last 2 chapters of Pipochu I drew with a G pen just to be like, all right, man.
I'm a mangaka. Finally. But I think a lot of Japanese people still prefer the hand-drawn mangas. Like I'm talking about on paper, like kamigenko style. Because digital, especially these days, I can kind of tell if it's digital or not. But
it depends.
I don't know, like the when I read Dandadan, it was some lines are like how, you know, people here say like anime lines are so thin, whatever, but he does all types of lines.
Right.
So
the G-Pen's good for that.
I was
Depending
never
on how
bored.
hard you press.
Yeah. Because like sometimes like, you know, you read manga, like the lines are always the same. The style is always the same all to the end. So you kind of get bored of the pictures. So you just start reading the lines or just what happened and But with this one, it was like, there was like super thick, like crayon like lines and super like fine lines and everything. So I don't think I was ever bored like reading a single page and just like, oh, kore kakkoi kakkoi.
Yeah.
Oh, moshiroi, ha 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 ha. So, but yeah, that's crazy though.
Yeah, he's a good draftsman. I gotta say, it's the tool. If you're a good draftsman, you can do your digital work can look like hand drawn on paper and vice versa. Like it's just a matter of it's just a tool really. Yeah, again, we'll get into that too, but like you know, because I've seen artists that it looks digital and it's on paper. It's just a matter of how you do your lines and stuff. Yeah. So
but yeah, man. Anyways, check out Dandadan manga version 2, guys.
You got your duck osusume.
Osusume. Cringe Musume osusume. So yeah, like talking about the production side of mangas. And nowadays, like the AI thing.
Right.
You think, like, you talk to any Japanese mangaka about AI?
I have not. I have looked online to see what certain people think about it. And I guess I'll talk about that. But basically, AI as a subject matter, it's a hot topic. It's a bit of because nobody seems to agree really on where AI will be headed, how it will affect entertainment as we know it, and specifically manga and anime. There's a lot of people that think it won't affect it, and it's a machine, and the machine can't compete with humans, and you need a person to do this and all this other stuff.
Right.
But I just looking online and stuff, I found that there are Japanese studios who are using AI currently for animation and manga. We talked about the creator of Gantz. Man, I forget his name now. But he used CG for sure, like for a lot of things, design stuff, had things modeled and then used it in his manga, and then he would put filters on them or adjust them so it would kind of look more graphic, but you could still tell if you're a person that draws, right? But there's also people who can't tell the difference, and they're just as important as fans of a work, or as buyers of a series or an anime or whatever, right? And so I think this impacts maybe artists more than the actual readers, because it's artists that do this work, and they're basically there is the possibility of these jobs being replaced by AI, which is what's being discussed right now, right?
Right.
But there's a studio in Nagoya. It's an animation studio, and I think it had about six people working. It's like real small crew, and they were showing in this video how they used AI to create their animated series, and pretty much every step of the pipeline, basically they said 60% of the production is done by AI. So more than half of the production is done by AI.
In Japan or this studio?
In Japan. Japan.
I see.
Yeah, in Japan, a Japanese studio in Japan, in Nagoya, with Japanese animators who use AI. And they said they used 10 different AI programs. So you've got like, Midjourney is one that like you prompt it with like a written description, and then it'll make something, and then you can like fine tune it until it gets to whatever. And so they use currently a program like that for even like their design work for characters or backgrounds or whatever. They just prompt it, the AI does it, and then the artist says, oh, I like this one, okay, I'm gonna go with this. So they're really farming out even like the initial like sketch concept work to AI. And this AI, the way it works, it scrapes work online, everything on Google, everything on everything. And then like it's an amalgam of different artists and, you know, photos, drawings, whatever that makes these things. And then the artist takes that and then does something else. Right. What they said was they wouldn't be able to do their production at the speed at which they do without AI. So they said for some things it would take 5 days to do a task that the AI could do in a couple of seconds, right? And then he said for like in general, something that would take 10 days production wise would take about 4 to 5 hours with the combination of different AI programs that they use. So they would have something, for instance, if you have a panel where a character is moving from A to B, they got to walk. With the AI, they just do the finished first frame in color and the last one. And then they describe to the AI what the movement is from left to right and whatever. And then it just does it in between. And, you know, it's not perfect. There's little things that are weird. They just have an artist go and do the cleanup.
Right.
So they're basically doing the animation with the AI. They're doing the concept designs with the AI. They're figuring out color patterns and stuff with the AI too. So for them, they said it's worth it because it's a matter of time. They do it a lot quicker. They work with less artists. Right. Because they got 6 and that's it. And they said the AI programs are about $623 a month for the AI programs. That's way cheaper than hiring artists to do that stuff. Because the AI is just doing it for free.
Even just a regular person costs more than that,
And it's also going to take longer with a regular person. So, you know, they were talking about what those were all pluses in their production. And they figured out a way to do it that works for them. Again, you can look at the animation, whether you like it or not, that's a different story. It looked like a standard kind of, you know, whatever anime. It wasn't like something really, you know, over the top crazy like visually or anything like that, but I mean it worked. And like not every anime is like that, you know. Then they actually interviewed people on the street in Japan about this and asked them like, you know, what do you think about AI, using AI in manga or anime? Is that something that you care about one way or another? Let us know. And again, it was a mixed bag. Some people said they liked it because it's quicker turnover. They're like, I can't wait to read, you know, my favorite manga. And if it means it's going to come out sooner, then I'm all for it. Yeah. And the other thing is publishers are using AI to translate into different languages so they can do like simultaneous releases in other countries, right? So not only does it save them time, they also say it helps them combat piracy for like the translations and all that stuff. Because again, these like fan edits or fan subs and everything, they're not the official translation of the publisher. The publisher would much rather have people all over the world read their official translation rather than that. And with the use of AI, they can do it. The people who expressed concern about AI are just straight up, they just didn't want it in anime or manga. You know, they said, you know, that artists' work is being scrubbed and basically stolen by these technologies and then used, and it's people getting credit for a look or a style that, you know, wasn't theirs. Or I mean, in this case, it's AI, so it's not even a person. And that, you know, there should be legal copyright laws or copyright laws that protect the artist and their style and whatever. And again, that's gonna be kind of hard because we talked earlier about different artists and their eikyo, like their influences, and you know, you can tell like, okay, this artist likes this artist, for instance, you know, they do these things like this artist and then they do these things like another, you know, So now it's just technology doing it,
Right.
and somebody prompting it and saying, I want an image that looks like this artist done in this other style and whatever. So that was being discussed. It's already being used. I don't see it not influencing entertainment. It already is now, but I see it doing it further in the future, and I do see it getting better. I don't think it's a matter of whether you're okay with it or not. I think we're kind of past that because it's going to happen. And right now, even in the US, animation studios are, there's a lot of negotiation going on.
Yeah.
With the Animation Guild, for instance, they have for the last couple of years, they've been trying to make sure, this technology doesn't, take jobs, which, I mean, the bottom line of a production and, the budget is something that's always important to a studio. And being able to save money and time is something any company is going to do.
Right.
So, I mean, as an artist, it's something you have to have in mind and understand that, like, these studios, their bottom line is, like, probably the number one thing. And if you have a studio that appreciates the artists and their work, it's one thing, but, like, you can't take that for granted, I would say. And especially when you can have something that does the task in a shorter period of time, which leads me to something that we were talking about, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and what's his name, Araki Hirohiko, and he did a couple books about like how he creates his manga, storytelling, character creation, all that type of stuff. And then in one of these books, he talked about AI and how he felt about it. And he said that he came across an image that he wasn't sure whether or not he had drawn. And eventually he realized this is not my drawing. But he said that, it was a character from an older series. And so, as you work, your work progresses and your style starts changing and you start doing things differently. But he said that it was so close that he himself couldn't tell whether it was a drawing he had done or not. And we're in the early stages of AI. Realistically, I mean, this type of stuff where it's just done in seconds. It's the more stuff that's online, the more the AI can learn from, the better it's going to get. Realistically, I don't think you can expect it not to at some point reach a level that is not discernible from original work by an artist. It's, so what Araki Sensei was saying was there needs to be copyright legislation to protect artists against this stuff, because it will get to a point where a scammer can make his own original thing and just say it's someone else even, and people will buy it off of that creator's name, right? He also called it a societal evil. He said AI was evil, and it was a big problem. He said art is soulless, which again, there was this conversation about the intent with which an artist puts the lines down, and that in a way, when you draw something, like how you're feeling, this is something, I mean, I think anybody who's drawn, and especially under pressure, the point that, like, your state of mind and who you are as a person translates through the lines in your work or through, like, the sounds in your music or whatever. It's part of being an artist, is you're translating, it's human communication through an art form, right? And so he was arguing that this is, a machine, copying stuff and kind of creating an image that resembles something, but without the intent or the feeling behind it. So he was just saying it's soulless and it's not art. Again, I've seen people online. I've talked about this with other artists too. I have artist friends that think, AI is just a tool, and that it's worth learning it because it's going to be used regardless in the future. So you might as well be an artist that, on top of the skills that you already have doing art traditionally, knowing your way around AI tools is also important to stay, you know, on the cutting edge or whatever it is. I have other artist friends who are like, don't send me any AI videos. I don't want to see this. I fucking hate it, which I also understand, right? And I got other artist friends that send me AI stuff all the time. Me personally, I understand that the arts and entertainment are headed in a different direction. You know, some people, you know, compare it to like the camera. When the camera was invented, then all of a sudden, you know, you know, people who painted realistically, and it was like the only way to depict something and keep it. Now, you know, that changed, and you know, same thing. You could say that for video, for music, and whatever. Yeah, for everything, pretty much. So I think, you know, it's just figuring out where this is going, where you can use it. Don't lose yourself as an artist.
Right.
And just farm your creativity out to a machine. That's the way I feel. But use it as another tool, like a source of reference, maybe sometimes. I feel kind of weird about like prompting AI to look at something to see what you're going to do. But again, it's a tool. Like people have different ways of doing their art. There's different methods. There's not one right way of doing things. So that's fine. But what I found was, what I enjoyed was this clip I watched of Miyazaki Hayao, the creator of, you know, Spirited Away, Totoro, and all this stuff. This is an old video, so this is like early AI. This years ago, they showed him, he went to this studio and they showed him like some tests they had done with AI for animation. And they showed him the stuff, dude. And like, homie Miyazaki, dude, was like, okay, so he was very quiet in a very Japanese way. He's reserved. But then like what he said was hilarious. So they showed him the stuff, and it was a room full of like animators and programmers. And so they showed him what they did, and they're like, this was done by AI. And the guy, you know, Miyazaki looked at it and he's like, what do you want from this? And they said, we want to create a machine that can draw like a human. And this video is many years old now. Like there was no Mid-Journey or whatever when this came out. As far as I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But they told him, we want to make a machine that draws like a human. And then Miyazaki was all quiet. And then he said, I'm utterly disgusted. He said, I would never wish to incorporate this technology into my work at all. He said, I strongly feel like this is an insult to life itself, dude.
Wow.
And then he was heated, dude. Yeah, totally, dude. And then he said, I feel like we are nearing the end of times, right? And he said, we humans are losing faith in ourselves, is what he said.
Wow.
Yeah, like so the strong words from Miyazaki, dude.
I mean, he's always kind of been like that though, right?
What do you mean, like changes, like advances and stuff?
No, I mean, just Karaguchi type.
Oh, him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's one, I don't know if it's a meme or whatever, but like, I need to look it up. I don't know. I'll look it up and we'll pop it up. But I think he said something like, and it might not have been his words. It might have been like a meme, like subtitle for a video, but it said like, what's the worst thing you've seen? Or like, what do you consider the worst thing for this industry? And then the answer was your favorite anime. Yeah, dude. Like,
yeah, he totally said that. Your favorite anime or manga, whatever he said, it was your favorite anime, right?
Well, I mean, like, also, I guess, like, since we're talking about Miyazaki, and I mean, we'll probably talk about him again at some point, but like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Miyazaki stuff. You know, like I appreciate it. I think it's good. I think like I haven't seen a lot of them actually. I saw My Neighbor Totoro. I saw Porco Rosso. Was that The Scarlet Pig or something like that in English? I saw that as a kid.
Akabuta, right?
Yeah. What else? Spirited Away. Mononoke Hime. Princess Mononoke.
Nausicaa.
Man, dude, that's like a lot of Japanese people. Nausicaa is their favorite anime of all time. It's their favorite Miyazaki.
Oh, my ex was.
I don't get it, dude. Like,
Me-
I always thought it was boring.
Well-
Maybe I need to watch it again, but like, I saw it.
I'm not a biggest fan of Ghibli either, so.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we're two bad guys to somebody out there, or to many people out there. But
Stones. Dodging stones, man.
yeah, I mean, hey, everybody has the things they like, but it's good. Obviously, it's just, I don't know, not something that like draws me in so much, you know. But so yeah. Those are the words he had for AI. And then I guess the other thing I did was just go on social media, kind of see what like people on Twitter were saying about AI stuff. And well, first of all, like X Twitter, I guess like in the terms of a agreement or whatever, like now anything you post, whether it's text or images or any kind of content you post, is open to be like scrubbed and used to train their AI models. But I think that's pretty much true for any platform you're on at this point.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Yeah. So like a lot of times, like I've got things I've been working on for a couple years now that I haven't posted any of it online. I don't know. At some point, it doesn't matter if you post it online or whatever. If you let it out for people to see, then it's already going to be subjected to this type of thing, right? But I wonder, beyond art or music or just anything in general, like these AI programs are scrubbing our human interactions online, our conversations, our fights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I just wonder where this is going. You know, like what eventually what is this going to be? Because there's just record of basically everything that happens online, every human interaction, every human just any bit of communication is just there, and it's being processed through like these large language models and generative AI eventually, which from what I understand, generative AI isn't something that you prompt to do a specific task for you. It is just something that moves on its own and reasons on its own, does its own thing. It's, you know.
The true AI, Skynet.
Right. Yeah, Skynet.
Yeah. But,
so,
I mean, they say like, especially in the music industry, I think we took the hit first. Mm-hmm. And still taking it. And there are many laws. I think the music industry, they sued Suno AI. Suno AI is one of the AI sites for music. Just prompt, I want 80s, whatever style, something BPM and key, whatever. Click.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 3 songs. And they sound pretty decent too.
Right.
Thing is now, I think they passed a law, still making it. You have to state that is made with AI.
Okay.
But how do you know if it's music, right?
But this has to be disclosed to who?
To I don't know, wherever you're posting it.
Okay.
And they say like you can only get copyright, or you can only copyright your music if there's some kind of human interaction. I mean, of course, somebody's got to do something. AI makes
some
it
kind of tweaking, or
yeah,
you're talking
people
about
like me, like let's say like if I have some kind of like writer's block, which I never had, but let's say like I don't know a melody, what I'm gonna make. AI, then that could be a great starting point. And people like me, just like, okay, now this, and I can make it my own thing and tell it, oh, it's me. But is it really me? Not really. But you know, people been doing it for years now,
right?
And so it's really weird. I don't know. They try to copyright AI, and they're still fighting and all that stuff. But with art, I don't know how you guys gonna do that though. Music, we already cooked, and
well, where do you see music going?
I mean,
like
it's
in terms
eventually
of like,
they're all gonna sound the same because it's based on just like music, Google, whatever. The
Right.
AI is gonna collect all the hit songs, top 40 or top whatever, top 200, top 1,000 throughout the time,
Right.
and
top million.
yeah,
Right.
and make a genki dama, itokodori,
Right.
and make a genki dama out of it. And here it is. It's gonna take what, like 3 seconds to do that, but
Right.
now I think eventually they're all gonna sound, because I can tell, even I can tell, this is made with AI,
Right.
because it's always like the poppy sound. They have
Is it
like,
a genre that
genre?
keys you in?
It's kind of mixed, because I think it only makes poppy EDM, because for the past few years that was a thing.
Right.
So, but eventually they're all gonna start sound the same.
Yeah.
So for
Right.
human musicians, music people, now we have to compete with AI by not sounding AI.
Right. Right.
So I think that's why like the bands are coming back, rock bands.
Right. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Live with
Live,
people doing
yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you mean like, I don't know, man. Like I talked about this with Ant when I was selling my stuff. We talked about AI stuff. I'm like, yo, like he's a rocker dude, and the dude's like, yo, I'm like, yo, keep doing it, because this whole AI thing, you know, we're cooked. People gonna go back to rock, live music, or jazz, or whatever. Like more like acoustic sounding music, not this whole EDM thing. So
It'll have its value in that. I mean, same thing with like, you know, art on paper. You know, actual traditional art is something that, you know, I mean, I guess technically you could hook up AI to a printer and or some device that like uses tools. I mean, you've seen some of these robotics they have where they're like doing like fine like finger type actions, like picking up a pen, drawing, like doing stuff. But again, that's a whole thing where it's like, I think artists will have their own value in the fact that they're an actual person doing things. But in terms of like just listening to some of the people in Japan who were talking about getting their stuff sooner, I think some people just see that not so much as art, but as entertainment. I mean, manga is seen by most people in Japan as entertainment, not really art.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And those people, I don't think they really care. As long as the result is the same for them, which is, oh, look, I'm reading this thing and that's about it. They don't care who did what. If they used the G pen or the Cintiq or it was a machine.
That's like, you know, me saying, yo, like, did you use that equipment or that DAW to make that music? Nobody cares. People who listen to music, like, let's say like 99.999%, they don't care.
Right.
But again, man, like I'm kind of like half and half when it comes to AI. I like, you know, half of it because, you know, again, if I don't have anything in my, especially like I can't draw. I'm not an art person, but you know, if
you can draw, I got some DJ 5 Duck drawings.
But my shit is all just like some Shiroto ass. Anyways, but again, but I want to make cool visuals too. And if I could use AI to make those things, why not, man? Especially the 3D stuff, Blender, which I tried to study Blender a few years back.
Right.
Oh my god, I couldn't, man. I couldn't.
Not too much.
Too much, way too much. But if AI can help me with certain things, why not?
Right.
Lightning.
Yeah.
The lighting. The lighting, the coloring, etc., music, ideas, like tedious tasks.
Right.
Like not the subs though. You know what happened to the subs.
Well, I mean, yeah. You try to do the subtitles with it. Well, it's a good start because it lays it out, but it says all sorts of weird.
You have to go to that one word, man. It's like, you know, you did like how many lines? Thousands of lines, then that one word is racist. Then I can't blame AI at the time. Right? Oh, AI did it. I mean, people are gonna start doing that. Like, people are gonna start doing like, is AI edited? People will say something online, some stupid stuff, or do stupid stuff, and just gonna blame it on AI. Oh, it was the AI, not me.
Well, that's my concern with AI technology isn't like artists, you know, losing jobs or whatever. I mean, artists will, you know, are resourceful and they'll figure out what to do and they'll keep going. But once AI becomes indistinguishable in terms of like whether something's real or not. Like, I saw a video of Trump today. It was like a video of him like with a bunch of people at like some kind of a presidential address, and then he just does this, and he like takes his jacket off, and he's just like swole, like yoked, and like I know. I mean, for a fact, there are people nowadays who will look at that and just not know how that happened, and like they're like, is he buff like that? Like, they don't realize
maybe
it's AI.
older people.
Like, right, but see, that's where it starts. I mean, the technology is going to get better, and if you it stands to reason that if the technology will get to a point where you can't tell whether it's real or not, and now all sorts of crazy stuff can be done with that. I mean, that will be misused.
100%.
At this
100%.
point, it will, 100%. And like people will be at a loss in a way, because it's like, how do you prove anything's real or not real? How do you know? You can't look and see like 6 fingers on a hand or like some weird twisted stuff. All the fingers are correct all of a sudden with the new version of this AI.
Yeah, man. It wasn't even that long ago when we talked about, I can tell about this, if they can't do fingers, AI can do this, AI can't do that. Next week, all fixed.
Yep. Yeah.
Everything. And they even have made with AI music videos.
What do you mean?
As music video just based on like just made with AI.
Oh yeah, I've seen a ton of those.
And I'm pretty sure like they wanted that look too.
Yeah, because that's what you got to work with what you got.
Yeah, it's part joke too.
Yeah.
Man, like Naru found this AI, this honyaku, this translation AI thing. And he tried it with our intro.
Okay.
Cringe Musume intro.
Yeah.
And I was talking in Japanese. Of course, and it sounds like one of those like old school dubbed, shows.
Right.
So we're just like doing this with the minasan, some weird it's out of sync, but it's still funny. In that sense, I kind of like messing around with AI.
Yeah.
Oh, ever heard about this guy named Root Port?
What?
Root.
What's his name?
Root Port.
Root Port.
Yeah.
This is his real name? Okay.
I don't think so. He's a manga.
Man, his parents hated him.
Abandoned when he was young. Yo, this dude, I don't know if it's a dude or girl, but they say it's a dude. He finished a 100-page manga in 6 weeks. 6 weeks? Yeah, all by himself with no drawing skills using AI.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like, man, what's my record? Okay, so he did in 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 weeks. 100-page, full color. All by himself. No drawing skills.
6 weeks, man. Like there's manga artists that can draw faster than that. I mean, 6
manga.
weeks?
Yeah.
Dude, I could in 6 weeks?
Yeah. It was super fast. I don't know. Maybe
probably,
it's here standard, but Japan standard is totally different. But
yeah, because I did a 45-page one in 2 weeks.
I mean,
so yeah, no, I could. I don't know how detailed his was, but
it was made with AI. It looks mad AI too.
Right.
I think the name of the book was Cyberpunk Momotaro or something like that. But
did you see it? What did it look like?
It looked like AI cyberpunk stuff. I could tell it's AI, but it's kind of like when people heard the news, everybody just freaked out. I'm like, oh my god, this is the end. Freaking out.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm wondering, did you see images of it, or you just read about it?
I saw images.
Did it look cool?
It looked like AI made it, but I'm pretty sure he did a lot of fixing and all that stuff. But
right,
but it looks
because AI looks like whatever somebody drew. Like the AI look is taken from real artists' work.
I tried a few AI programs. like sites, but I don't know. Mine, every time I type something, let's say, again, if it's like cyberpunk, I try to do cyberpunk.
Right.
Man, like, I can do things better than that without AI. I don't know if it's my prompting, but, or maybe it was just bad because it was a free version.
Yeah, I mean, there's a combination of those things. Like prompting, I guess, like the people who are better at that will get more out of the technology. Then there's like the free ones versus the paid. I also saw some videos of people going over discussing AI and going over its usage. There's art accounts that are just done with AI, and they just pump out, like they were saying this person put out 90 original pieces in 1 month, right? So that's like 3 a day. And they're like, there's no way this, and they're, painted, digital painting and whatever. And it was all characters like Naruto and like, Pikachu and, this Genshin Impact game that we talked about in the last video. There's some fan art of that. And so they were pointing out how they could tell it was AI. And it's because, it just does things that are weird. Like it'll just forget to draw something, or like something will go through another thing. But at a glance, most people can't tell. You got to really study that art. And so when I was watching these videos where they were pointing all these details out, like there was like Pikachu standing on a puddle, and then his reflection in the water, his mouth wasn't smiling. Like there's little details where you're like, if you drew it, it was just, it was just didn't match. It didn't make sense. But most people don't see that. And artists, or people who may not be an artist but really care about art and look at things carefully, are going to be the only people that see that. And that's a small percentage, right? So, but they said that this account that put up the 90 images in 30 days, they're like, they had a Patreon and they were getting like money for it and everything. And they were just saying, hey, this person's just prompting and putting this stuff out. But then apparently this person that had the account that had like hundreds of thousands of followers was actually an artist. Like they showed like work they did digitally. And I guess at a certain point, the artist was like, I can't compete with this. I'm just going to use this. Which is, I don't know if it's sad. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's, the artist decided to just do that, to go that route. Yeah,
just by listening to that, at least like 20 music dudes that I know would totally be like that, man.
Yeah. Just do
the Suno thing. Why even bother? Like, I'm not making money. I don't make music professionally anymore. I make what I want to make, right?
Right.
So it's not like, I have a song due tomorrow. Right. Suno, click. I don't need to do that.
Right.
It's not like, we had it anyways. But a lot of people, people in the industry, man, I'm pretty sure they're all paid users, man, of AI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm just wondering, where I think people are going to find different ways of using the technology that fits their art style and what they do. I've seen people tracing over AI, like online. They're just, where it's like you just have the AI make it and then you trace over it and do your own thing. I don't know. If that's your way of doing stuff, like, there's people who do photo bashing, where they take photos and then they like, you'll see videos of them like photo bashing, where they take like, a photo of a dog and then they'll like shrink the eyes and they'll make like the nose bigger and whatever. They'll turn it into something else. So who knows what kind of art style AI is gonna create. Artists are gonna create using AI as a tool. Like right now, what we're seeing is everybody just prompting stuff that already exists. Give me Dragon Ball, like give me Dragon Ball but black. Give me this. Give me. People are doing that. Like you see, like all these anime characters in a different style. Like give me, Batman villains in the style of Miyazaki,
and fix it.
Right. But no, like what we're seeing right now is people just wanting to see things. Like I want to see, you know, Dandadan in the style of The Simpsons. Like people are doing that with AI.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I want to see Naruto in the style of like the Final Fantasy artist. Which I forget his name, but like he did all the like painted stuff, like watercolor and gouache. That's what people are doing. I think at a certain point, you know, that's gonna get super old real quick. Right now, people are eating it up, but eventually, it's like you've seen Goku as, you know, a million things, and then whatever's gonna come after that, whatever people who start using these tools and realize, hey, you can do this, which might not have been the use for AI originally, but they figured out a way. I'm also wondering, you make the stuff with AI, does the company have something in the fine print that says they own everything that you create using their technology?
I think so.
So, you know, so then it's like, what's the point of making stuff?
Yeah, I think that's why they're still fighting over who's gonna get the right,
the ownership,
the ownership of the whatever, you know,
right,
music or drawing, art or whatever.
Yeah. So again, I think artists need to be concerned with, you know, that type of thing. Like where we know this is going to advance, we know it's not going to just disappear.
I mean, AI right now, despite the name artificial intelligence, it's just the next generation advanced search engine, right?
Right.
And that, you know, combines things, right? Better than, I don't know, Google, whatever, Yahoo.
Right.
Yeah, Yahoo, man. Who uses Yahoo anymore? But
it still exists, right?
Yeah, Yahoo Japan. But eventually, it will become an AI, artificial intelligence. We don't have to tell, like you mentioned, we don't have to tell.
It's a generative AI.
It's just like, I'm just gonna, AI is gonna wake up and like, I feel like making a song and probably, you know, start making things by its own. Then the judgment day is gonna happen.
Right, yeah. I mean, dude, people will eat it up. I mean, look at Hatsune Miku. That's a hologram.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it fills stadiums, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, which you know, and if people get enjoyment, I mean, why do people become fans of things? Why do people follow artists or, you know, it's because that artist does something that they appreciate and they want more of.
Right.
So if that artist isn't even an artist and it's just an algorithm that creates and they're into it, I mean, we're just going to have people following, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Be interesting, right?
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So artists, let's be more human than human. That's what we need to do. Because
Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie style. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think now is the time to figure out, you know, what AI cannot do. If there's anything, you know, I mean, as long as we're doing it online, that's the issue with that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, okay, which one are you going to take? Are you, to be famous, to make it, you have to be online, right? To do anything these days, you can't just be offline.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the movement. Maybe that's the movement, is just doing things in IRL and doing them
I don't
analog
know,
and...
Yeah, I mean, just, like, you want volume 2? Meet me at that alley.
Right.
MacArthur Park.
I'll mail it to you.
You got the manga.
Yeah, dude.
Then get shot.
By AI robot.
Terminator.